Yo everybody, ATP here. Welcome back to another Overwatch League roster quiz video. By heavy demand, we're moving on to the 2020 rosters today, and we're going to be doing it based on the end of season rosters as of September 9th, 2020, as you can see here on the screen. I thought about maybe doing one of those quizzes where it's like the preseason rosters or beginning of the season rosters, if you will, but I couldn't find one that was entirely accurate, so we're rolling with this instead. And if you're new to this, basically, I have a certain amount of time to just name off every player from each team in the league. And yeah, that's basically it. This is going to include inactive players, as you can see right here. And I believe I have like 30 minutes on the clock, so we're just going to dive right into it. I'm going to try my best to name players off the top of my head. It's been a while since I've thought about Season 3, so we're going to see how this goes. And maybe I'll try and walk you through my thought process as we get into it. So 3, 2, 1, and go. We're going to start with the left-hand side of the screen here, which means we start with the Atlanta Reign. They're the first one up in the alphabet, of course. Thinking about tanks, they of course have Gator Hawk, but then you also have Poke Po, who is still on the team. I wish he was back in the league. I missed that guy a lot. Really great Winston and Orisa player. Then also Fried Wiener. He was still there. Didn't really play. Hawk was like the main guy in Season 3. DPS, they still had Erster. Heavily underutilized. I don't know what happened there. He was like a one-season wonder. Really sad stuff because Erster was such a great player and all. They also had Edison, who at the time people were very excited about. They didn't have Baby Bay anymore. Baby Bay had already retired at that point to go on to Valorant. They had Sharp. That's one people definitely might not remember. He was there. He had a lot of potential, but it just didn't work out. And then they also had Saucy, I believe. Yeah, that was not a great pickup at all for them, but whatever. At support, you have Dogman and Masa. Those are like the main guys. I don't think they had Kodak anymore. They had Iris, and then they had Fire. Yeah, can't forget about my guy Fire, especially because of my boy on Twitter, for those of you who know who I'm talking about. Fire season. Boston Uprising, they had Fusions, Axiom, if I could spell. There we go. That's how it is. Axiom Fusions, they had Punk at that point, who was like one of their best players, and then they had one other off-tank, right? Ooh, who is it? It wasn't Brucein. It's somewhat obvious that I'm just completely missing out on. I don't know. We'll have to come back to that one, I suppose. Wait, no. I remember who it is now. It's Mikey. I love Mikey, a Connecticut native. Let's go. Represent, baby. At DPS, they had Jerry and Color Hex. They're only DPS players, which is pretty crazy to think about. They did have Munchkin, but he left after 2 weeks. That was a pretty funny time. Hope Munchkin's doing well in Valorant. They had Myungbong at support. Their hard carry, if you will, as well as Halo. They had Halo. Chengdu. Among, you have Late Young. I don't think he was a 2-8. He might have been a 2-8 player at that time. I can't remember. Also was like the main starting guy, though, who showed significant improvement in Season 4. Too bad he had to retire mid-season. And then they also had, who was it? A-Ting, right. The guy that was supposed to come in and play Winston, but they basically just had Among and Elsa play that character anyway. DPS, Leave, Jinmu, the classic. I think they still had Bacon Jack, I want to say. Yeah. I remember him coming in for Junkertown and whatnot. Oh, support. They had 2 different support lines that they'd run. Usually it was either Kyo, Yveltal, or they went with Lynx and Molly. I'm hoping all those guys are doing well. I mean, we saw Yveltal, but I want to see Kyo, Lynx, and Molly get some more chances very soon. Tank line, they had Gamsu Note. Then they had someone else. Someone was inactive. It was Trill, I think. Yeah, that sounds right. At that point, he wasn't even playing. Same with AKM. He was on the roster, but he never, ever played. Zachary had already retired from the team. Taimu was gone as well. They had Decay. Oh, wait, Decay was on Washington. My bad. Doha. And then they had Onigod. Support. Crimzo was at Flex. It's crazy how much better he played on Houston. Absolutely amazing. Paintbrush. I don't think Harry Hook was on the team anymore, was he? No, it was probably Closer, and then they had Unko as well, who never played. I can't believe that him, Trill, and AKM were all just on the team, inactive, never to be used, because they didn't even want to play the game anymore at that point. As we roll down the list here, tanks for Florida Mayhem, Fate Gargoyle, one of the most consistent tank lines in the league at the time. Their Orisa Sigma was quite something for sure. They also had Karayan, if I remember correctly. I forgot him in the 2019 roster list, and we got him that time. Like the Rhine specialist, if you will. DPS, Yaki BQB. Who else did they have at DPS? Oh, did they still have Saya player? They did. I forgot that they still had Saya by the end of the season. I'm really sad Saya never got to like be a significant part of the new brand Florida Mayhem when they were actually good in 2020. It's a shame that at that point he was kind of done with the game. Because I always wanted that guy to win, but he never did. Support, Gangnam Jin, Byron, Gangnam Jin. Chris at main support. Good old Chris. Hope he's doing well. Guangzhou Charge, Rio at main tank. He's been their main tank literally since day one, essentially. And then they also had Krong, who was an MVP level player that year. Pretty awesome. Another MVP level player in Eileen. Nero before that, who I thought was playing really good until the whole visa issues happened. And then Eileen kind of took over as an amazing player. Happy. And then they had somebody else. I genuinely cannot remember who else they had at DPS. I really thought it was only Eileen, Happy, Nero. Oh, they got Crystal, didn't they? Crystal's a two-way player. It was very controversial at the time. Support, they still had Shu, Chara. That was like the support line they rolled with 2 years or so. Neptuno main support, like their Mercy player essentially. But then again, visa issues kind of ruined his chances of getting significant playtime as well. And who else do they have? Wia, W-I-A, I can't remember how to say his name. So that's Guangzhou Charge. Hangzhou Spark now. Can't forget about our guy Gushui. They still had Ria, right? They did. They had Sashin and then QOQ. Off-tank was a mess for Hangzhou Spark. It was crazy. I mean, it probably wouldn't have been an issue to begin with if Ria didn't have that wrist issue going on. He was a great player in 2019. DPS now. They had Godsby. I love me some Godsby. Very consistent player. Oh, I meant to say Adora, but Otto works too. And then they had, oh, who else did they have? It was Otto, Adora, Godsby, Architect. They traded for Architect mid-season. I'm really sad that never really worked out for the Spark, because Architect was a great player when they've traded for him. He just didn't really work out on their team. I feel like Architect over time just has gotten worse. I feel like he almost peaked in 2018. Maybe that's just my opinion, though. That's when I thought he was, like, the most significant in his career. Support line. They had Bebe IDK. Kind of like what Chengdu, they had, like, a 2 support line system. They had Coldest, Mika. Although, Coldest never really played. It was mostly just Mika from the Chinese support line that got playtime. He was a good Mercy player. Tanks, Outlaws had Muma. I mean, Hydration they'll probably have... Will they have him as the tank? No, DPS, because they still had Meko, right? Oh, I miss Meko. Meko was so great on NYXL. I miss that dude. I almost put Happy in. I'm thinking of last year for some reason. They had Dante, Blase, Dante, Hydration, and Linkser as their true hit scan specialist. Raucus had already retired at that point. They didn't have Bonnie. I think did they Boink still? The meme? Like, they never, like, announced his departure from the team. What a good meme that is. They had Repel and Jexe as like their main support line after Raucus left. London might be tough because there's some forgettable players on that team for sure. I'm going to try my best though. Can't forget about J-Mac. Congrats on the head coach promotion on Paris. That's pretty awesome. He wasn't the greatest player, but I'm glad he's doing well with coaching. They had Jihoon as their other main tank. Bernard was the main off tank, but they also had Klestein, who I thought was pretty good. I'm a little sad he never got another chance in the league. Glister. Then they also had, they had Babel. They had Although. And then there's one other guy, Shui. At support now, I don't know why Krillin comes to mind. He, like, barely even played outside of, like, a double flex support meta. Hyli's the bigger guy, who I almost forgot in the Season 2 roster thing when he was on Soul. Who else did they have? Main support, they had Sanguinar, as well as Fuse, right? Who never played. Which is a little weird, because he was, like, somewhat successful in Fusion University. I'm not exactly sure what happened there. I mean, Sanguinar was really good. Tank, Void and Roar were already gone. I think they had Bishu still, right? They still had Bishu. Space, obviously, as well as OG. I was hoping that tank line was going to work out, but just OG wasn't consistent enough, sadly. Maybe a somewhat down year from Space as well, I guess. And they also had LH Cloudy. What a classic he was. It's a little sad that he just played Rhine like all the time, but oh man, those Rhine strats were something else. Really fun to watch. DPS, obviously everyone remembers Birdring and Kevster. They were an amazing support duo, even in 2020. But then they also had Mirror. Mirror was still there. And who was the other DPS? I think it was Jaro. Yeah. I remember the beginning of the season when they had like such a weird rotation. Kevster gave them so much consistency. I don't think people realize. All right, so we're halfway done. We only used 10 minutes so far. Not too bad. Glides only had Big Goose and Shaz back then. I could spell Big Goose right. Yep. The support line that lasted 3 whole years. And I mean, throughout most of the time, they got decent value, at least from Shaz. Big Goose maybe got a bit worse as time went on, but Shaz was always somewhat consistent. Oh, excuse me. A tank for the LA Valiant. Okay, if I mess up the Valiant, that'll be sad because I'm a fanboy, or was a fanboy rather. Dreamer McGravy, of course, as well as Gig. Gig during that first week was something else. His Rhine was hilarious to watch. DPS they had Apply, KSP, also known as Kai now. They had KSF, as well as Shax. Shax KSP was epic. Love that. I love that DPS line a lot, but KSF I'm also a big fan of. Support, Lastro, Rain, can't forget about them. Goated support duo. Hope Rain's doing well with his military stuff. I miss that dude. NYXL still had Mono. Meko was off the team. They had Hoppa, who was a huge meme at off tank that year. And they also had Bianca, he just didn't work out, sadly. NYXL had a lot of DPS. SBB... They had Hoxel mid-season. Libero was still there, who, like, never played. I don't know what happened in Season 3 with Libero. He's so misused. They had Who Are You, who also was, like, a weird pickup. And I think they still had Nene, who, after, like, the team went back to Korea, just, like, never played again, it felt like. Support line, of course, you have Jonak and Animo. And they also picked up Mondu, who I thought was going to help them out with their passive play style, but he just never played because he wasn't good enough, clearly. Anyway, Paris Eternal, Ben Best, my guy, who had a really improved season that year. Very proud of him. They had, like, Smex as, like, a backup off-tank. They, of course, have Hanbin. And then No Smite played Winston for them, which was so weird, by the way, at the time for me, because I never really liked his Winston in Season 2 on the Spark. I always thought of him more as a Rhine player, but then his Winston was pretty good for Paris in 2020. Very weird. DPS, can't forget about XC Sparkle. I got to spell it the normal way. Nope, that's good. Cool. They had Soon, then Nico. Oh, they're going to make me put in GDH. I loved that DPS line. Soon, Sparkle, Lexi was such a killer rotation to me. And I mean, Nico was like a good May, I suppose. Support line. They only had... At that time, Cruz was gone, so it was just FD God and Fielder. 200 ping God. At that point, Gray and Hip were both gone already. Pretty sad. They went to... The Paris Eternal went through so many flex supports. It's pretty crazy. Philly Fusion. Sato, of course, who had a resurgent season. Absolutely amazing year out of him. They had Poco. And then Fury. Really awesome tank rotation, I'd say. DPS... Carpe, Hisu are like the big ones, as well as EQO for that crazy play he had in the Summer Showdown. They had Chipsa. How could I ever forget about the most important player in the history of Overwatch, am I right? Yeah, I mean, hit that time on Oasis, he was 100% win rate. He's undefeated in the Overwatch League. Chipsa, EQO, Hisu, Carpe, and someone else. Ivy, who blew my mind. Like, I thought he was decent on 2019 Toronto, but he was one of the best flex DPS in the game in 2020, which is why it's really sad that it didn't work out on New York, because I thought he could have helped them quite a bit if the circumstances were maybe a bit better. Support line, Alarm, Funny Astro, they're so great for the last couple of years, but they also still had Boombox, who was there for, like, double flex support metas. I love Boombox. I hope that dude's doing well. San Francisco Shock, the champions of that season, that is. They had Smurf Super and Choi. They're going to make me spell it. It's Choi Hyobin. Hyobin. There we go. DPS. I remember on Striker, Rascal right off the bat. But then can't forget about the Bench King, Tayo, who was there to become a Genji specialist. But then they went back to Rascal anyway to play Genji. It was really weird. But regardless... Support line, the sickest rotation ever. I mean, Moth, Twilight, and Violet. What an insane support line. That might be the greatest ever. Like, holy moly. Two of, like, the top 3 flex supports in the game at the time, plus Moth, who was, like, the best main support in the world. Like, jeez, man. That's overkill. It really is. Like, I remember when that trade first happened, or when the Shock picked Twilight up out of free agency, my mind was blown, and it still is to this day that no one else was able to get Twilight, and he ended up going to the best possible team. Like, jeez. Soul Dynasty. Marvel, who was basically an off-tank player that year. Absolutely hate that. Gives me nightmares to this day. Even though I'm not a Soul fan, Gesture was there. They had Tuyu as well as Michelle. And I'm really sad they never played Michelle, because Michelle in 2019 was really great. I'm not sure what happened there. DPS. I almost put Fleta by mistake, but it's Prophet, as well as Fitz, and there's some other guy who never played. I think it was Illicit, like their Genji player, but played like a couple maps at most, maybe. Support line. My guy Toby. They had Badoshin at first, who I thought was going to be a good signing, but it just meh. And then he ended up getting overtaken by Creative. And they also got Slime, who... kind of followed suit with Soul's tradition of trying to replace Toby mid-season just to go back to him anyway. It happened literally every single year. It's absolutely insane. They got Gambler Season 1, they had Jexay Season 2, Season 3 Slime. Like, I don't know why Soul tried everything they could to get rid of Toby just to have him back anyway. Not DPS, Tank for the Shanghai Dragons. Fearless, this is when his amazing campaign started. They also had Stand 1, who, fun fact, was like the starter at first. Because, I mean, maybe his Rhine was better at the time. I'm not really sure. Also, Tank, they had Void, my guy, who I thought was the best off-tank in the league that year. And then I think they had Gaguri still, right? Yeah, I think she played a couple of maps. It's amazing that she lasted on the team for that long. I mean, after Season 1, she really didn't play that much, but I was glad that she stuck around for as long as she did, because, she's such a historic player to our league, being the first female to ever make it and everything. We need more women in the Overwatch League. I mean, there's not enough pros right now, I feel like, but maybe one day down the line, some others will be motivated and will be skilled enough to make it. I mean, the world has to do some changing too, of course, but it's a topic for another day. DPS, Fleta, Lip. They also had Diem. Ooh. No, not Who Are You. Who Are You is on NYXL. Did they have Ding still? They did. They, never played him. Season 2 Ding is one of my favorite players of all time. What a carry he was. His Sombra and Pharah were just out of this world good. Who am I missing, though? They had 5 DPS? Is this where the 100% is guaranteed to fall off? Because I genuinely do not remember who else could have possibly played DPS. Is it I don't feel like it's an obvious one, because Fleta Lip got 90% of the playtime, if not more. They didn't have Erster, Season 4. Wow, I cannot remember. Well, I guess we'll go back to it. They had Izayaki and Lee Jae-gon, who were even better last year than they were in Season 3. And did they have Luffy still? They did. He played some maps here and there, I remember now. Toronto Defiant. Beast. I remember when everyone thought Beast was going to be such a big deal in the Overwatch League, because he was great on Fusion University. Very unfortunate. They had Nevix. Hope that dude's doing well. Love me some Nevix. And they had, Numlocked, I think? Yeah, Numlocked. DPS, there are a lot of them. They had Surefour Agilities, those are the big ones I remember. Logics as well. That's one of my all-time favorite DPS lines. I know they're not very good, but I just love all of those guys so much. Do they still have Mangachu? They did still have Mangachu. Did he even play a map back then? I don't remember. I was hoping Mangachu was going to work out at this level, but again, kind of like with some other people on this list, never did. And they also had Zik as like their Echo player, essentially. He was like pretty decent, to be honest with you. Hope that dude is doing okay. Support line, Kareev. They traded for Cruz, I believe, for some better shot calling, and then they also had Roki. If they had a better main support, maybe that support line would have been decent, because I felt like Kareev in Season 3 still wasn't that bad. Vancouver Titans, a.k.a. the meme team. They had Shredlock, KSA, DPS was Dalton Suna. Then they also got Shockwave soon after, who was like their savior and kind of made their season a bit less dreadful, even if it was only in short burst because the team wasn't good in general. Support line, Rolf Karkar, another Fusion University guy. And then I liked Rolf as well. They weren't really Overwatch League caliber players, I guess you could say. But regardless, Washington Justice, they'd Roar, holy. That's one guy I thought was going to be so much better than he actually ended up being. Like, I thought Roar, you know, coming from Kongdu Panthera was going to be just unbelievable, but he was not great, and he only got worse over time. Also, Tank, they had Janu as a mid-season pickup. Also, a mid-season pickup was Stitch. I really am thankful for the Justice for giving those guys a chance, so they didn't have to sit out the rest of the season. And then also they had Tuba, who I thought got a lot better as time went on. I felt like from the Summer Showdown and onward, he was like a significant contributor, whether it be on Genji or like Sombra, Pharah. He was good for them. They had Aim God at flex support and then Arc at main support, who I thought was going to be a pretty decent support line. I really did. But like outside of the playoffs, they're pretty meh. Okay, so all I'm missing now is a Shanghai Dragons DPS player. That's it. And for the life of me, I don't know who it is. I can't think of a single other DP... I know who it is. I remember. Dio was still there. He was a two-way player. Bam. 100%. Let's go, baby. We got it. 202 out of 202. And it seems that about 25% of test takers also get 100. That's not bad at all. I feel like 1/4 of the test takers getting a perfect score is pretty darn good, and it shows that a lot of people have good memories of Overwatch League Season 3, which definitely was a fun time despite the ups and downs with COVID and whatnot. The average score is 141, so that's like, what, like 60% or something like that? 70%? Not that bad. I don't know why it says your fastest time. I don't know what that's on about. But we did this in what? Like 21 minutes? That's not that bad. Not bad at all. But yeah. Let's... Oh, wait. There's more stats down here. Interesting. So, like, these are, like, the players that are most commonly getting correct. Like, Gator and Super are the two most correct answers. Very interesting. Why Gator? Was Gator really that popular back then? I guess so. Hawk, I mean, yeah, Gator Hawk is... It's pretty common to get both of them, I feel like. Sparkle, that's another one. Violet, Smurf, Carpe, yeah. Edison is this high up. I'm surprised more people didn't guess Striker. How do you forget Striker? How do you forget Jonek? I'm surprised there's no 100%. Well, I mean, then again, some people might just, like, meme with the quiz, so... What are the ones people don't get right? I feel like I know who they'd be. The least guessed person is Mangachu at 37%. Wow. And then... Roki at 39. Lots of Toronto players, huh? Zik is up there. Jihoon, that's an understandable one. For sure. Langsa, yeah, that one also makes sense. Definitely with the charge as well. Sashin, yeah. Mikey, can't really say I'm surprised. He played like one game, maybe two. I'm surprised people got 46% for Fuse. I thought he'd be lower, seeing as he never played. Kyodor Smex is another shocking one. I thought he'd be a bit lower. But yeah, that's pretty cool. I like that there's stats for this. I dig that. But yeah, we got 100%. That's pretty sick. But yeah, that's basically it. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and if you maybe want to see me do like a season 4 quiz, maybe we could get that going. I feel like that'd be pretty easy just because it's still recent and fresh in our minds. But maybe there's some other quiz content around that we can look into. And if you want some of that, let me know down in the comments below. Give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it, and if you want to take this quiz yourself, I'll leave a link in the description. But yeah, until next time, guys, this is ATP, signing out. Peace.